All right, guys, what's going on? My name is Luis, and I have my son here.
Michael.
And today is June 27, 2020, and welcome to the Grand Supreme News Channel. So, guys, today we are going to open up the Bible and go to chapter 7, the book of Daniel, chapter 7. You guys already know Saturdays we talk about certain chapters in the Bible. And today, we're going to continue in the book of Daniel, chapter 7. And it's going to be really powerful because chapter 7 is Daniel's. Give me a second here. Actually, it's chapter 6.
Oh, on 6?
Yeah. So we on chapter 6. We're going to start with Daniel in the den of lions. A lot of people wanted to hear that story. So this is really powerful, guys. Really, really powerful. And then chapter 7, Daniel's dream of 4 beasts. So you guys already know. I want to show you something really quick. You guys already know that King Nebuchadnezzar had a dream, and he was disturbed by this dream. He couldn't sleep. He had tough time sleeping because nobody, even experts, couldn't interpret the dream. So Daniel came and he told King Nebuchadnezzar that he could, that he's willing to interpret the dream. Give me a second here. And the dream, you guys already know, is a huge statue of gold, bronze, silver. And these statues each...
Iron and clay.
Huh?
Iron and clay.
Yeah, iron and clay. And each of these certain parts of the statue represent a nation. So you guys already know that the golden head is Babylon that lasted 606 to 538 BC. And then you had the chest, which represent the kingdom of Persia that lasted 538 to 331 BC. And then you had the bottom waist, which is Greece, 331 to 63 BC. And then you had the knee, which is Rome, 27 BC to 1453 AD. And then...
No. It goes the head is Babylon, the chest is Persia, and then the stomach is Greece. The top half of his legs is Rome.
Okay.
And then the legs is a divided Roman Empire, and then the feet is kingdom.
Absolutely. The feet is actually the Roman Empire being divided into 10 different nations. 7 nations exist. The other 3 doesn't exist. And the
What
7...
happened to them?
Huh?
What happened to them?
I gotta look into that one. But there was 10 kingdoms. Rome fell, and it was so huge, it was so big that they had to divide Rome, which is Europe right now. So 7 countries. And I do believe that the last kingdom is the United States of America. Now, the book of Revelation also speak about the rising of the beast, which is the 4 beasts. Now, in Daniel's dream, he sees 4 beasts. You have the dragon, the bear, the lion with wings, and the leopards with wings. And these 4 beasts actually represent nations, which I believe is Babylon, Persia, Greece, Rome. So the book of Daniel, which is, give me a second here, Daniel's dream of the 4 beasts, basically speak about kingdoms rising and falling. But Daniel also gave at the very end a vision of things of the future, like the rising kingdom, which I believe is the United States of America. All right, so we're going to start in Daniel chapter 6, Daniel in the den of lions. All right, so before we do that, guys, it's very important to start this with a prayer. And God bless everyone. Welcome to the Grand Supreme live stream. We are live in Grand Supreme News, GS News, Facebook Live, and we are also live D Live. Yeah, I think we live on D Live. All right, so Michael, you want to open this up with a prayer?
I'm really not good at saying them.
Again, Mike, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just a prayer that comes out of your heart. You want me to say it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, Heavenly Father, we come to you. We thank you for the blessing that you've given us. We thank you for sending your one and only begotten Son to save us from this world that's full of darkness. Lord Father, we come to you as we open up the book of Daniel and read the words that you use Daniel as a key to let us know of certain events to come. Show us knowledge and give us wisdom as we read the words and get closer to you. And I pray for many people who are alive and people around the world. I pray for many people who are in need of prayer, those who are sick, those who are in need of food, and those who are struggling in marriage, those who are struggling keeping their businesses. I pray for many people out there who are in need of prayer. Thank you, Lord Father, for the blessing. Thank you for being with us day and night. Protect us in these tough times that we are living. In Jesus Christ's name, we pray. Amen. Okay, so, Michael, you're going to start in chapter 6, and you're going to end in chapter 7, okay? So, my son is going to read Daniel in the Den of Lions. So, you guys already know, last week, I was supposed to do the live stream, but my son was staying Saturday in his dad's house, and then Sunday it was my birthday and Father's Day. So it was so many things happening in the weekend, and we didn't had no time. But Monday, I think it was Monday, it was you and Mommy, right? Or Tuesday?
Yeah. I can't remember what to say, but I know it was me and Mom.
I think it was Monday. My son and her mom read the book of Daniel, and I believe they started in chapter 3 and ended in chapter 6. Okay, so very important. Share this video. After Daniel in the Den of Lions, the next one's gonna be really powerful. You know, a lot of people talk about mystery of Babylon and this and that. Well, Daniel kind of seems like he's talking about the mystery of Babylon when it comes to the 4 beasts. So once again, guys, share this video. God bless you all. Again, if you guys decide to support the channel as tithing, we also have the Patreon link or PayPal link in the description box. We have no super chat. All right, Michael, you're gonna speak through this mic.
All right.
It doesn't stay down for some reason. Okay, so just come towards me. There you go. Okay.
It pleased Darius to appoint 120 satraps to rule throughout the kingdom, with 3 administrators over them, one of whom was Daniel. The satraps were made accountable to them so that the king might not suffer loss. Now Daniel so distinguished himself among the administrators and the satraps by his exceptional quality that the king planned to set him over the whole kingdom. At this, the administrators and the satraps tried to find grounds for charges against Daniel and his conduct of government affairs, but they were unable to do so.
Okay. So what's going on here is that there were laws put in place. No prayers for how many days it was. Maybe it was just for 3 days, maybe more than that. So the king of Babylon signed this law that nobody is allowed to pray to any god. And it was put in place by these 3 wicked men that wanted to betray and have Daniel killed, because Daniel is a man of God, and Daniel pray at least 3 to 4 times a day. So these 3 men came out with an idea to stop Daniel from praying. They went to the king and say, "King, we want to again show you this." It was, example, an executive order or something like that. We want nobody to pray to their gods, but just to, just for a short period of time, 3 or 4 days. So the king is like, and I didn't read the part, guys, truly apologize. The king signed signed the bill and said, okay, nobody is going to pray to their gods for several days. And the three men got what they wanted. It was like, great. Now Daniel is not going to like this, and he's going to pray, and we're going to catch him, and we're going to take him to the king and have the king execute him, throw him in a den of lions. So Daniel heard about it, but he's like, this order or executive order is not going to stop me. I will continue to pray to my God. If they catch me, they catch me. So Daniel was praying, and the three men was walking, and they saw Daniel praying. And they went to the king and told the king what happened. And the king is like, well, he broke the law. He's got to be put to death. Show me the man. And here comes Daniel, and the king is like, wait a minute, this is a mistake. This is my friend. And the three men told the king, well, remember that order that you signed, about nobody praying? Well, he broke that order. So the king looked at the three men, and the king is like, you people set me up on this one. So they were trying to find a way to overrule what he signed, trying to find a way to save Daniel. But there was no way to overrule that. In another word, it was like an executive order. So Daniel broke the law, but again, this goes to tell you that even the time that we are living, that forcing face mask or all that, shutting down the church doors, the governor or mayor is saying this is what we put in, so obey the law. You don't have to. If Daniel continued praying and didn't obey the law, he put God first. He didn't care about no law. Just like King Nebuchadnezzar told everyone to bow down to his statue. Everybody bowed down except for Daniel's friends. Why? Because they put God first. We should not be breaking the 10 Commandments. We should pray every single day. We should not allow the world to tell us not to pray. So again, I put God first. I don't care they put me to death. I will pray to my God. So that's what Daniel did. He prayed to his to the God, our true Father in heaven. And he was caught. He was thrown in the den of lions, excuse me. But then something happened in there. So, go ahead, Mikey.
They could find no corruption in him because he was trustworthy and neither corrupt nor negligent. Finally, these men said, we will never find any basis for charges against this man Daniel unless it has something to do with the law of his God. So these administrators and satraps went as a group to the king and said, may King Darius live forever. The royal administrators, prefects, satraps, advisors, and governors have all agreed that the king should issue an edict and enforce a decree that anyone who prays to any god or human being during the next 30 days, except to you, your majesty, shall be thrown into the lion's den. Now, your majesty, issue the decree and put it in writing so that it cannot be altered in accordance with the law of the Medes and Persians, which cannot be repealed. So King Darius put the decree in writing. Now when Daniel learned that the decree had been published, he went home to his upstairs room where the window was open toward Jerusalem. 3 times a day he got down on his knees and prayed, giving thanks to his God, just as he had done before. Then these men went as a group and found Daniel praying and asking God for help. So they went to the king and spoke to him about his royal decree. Did you not publish a decree that during the next 30 days anyone who prays to you or any god or human being except to you, your majesty, would be thrown into the lion's den? The king answered, the decree stands in accordance with the law of the Medes and Persians, which cannot be repealed. Then...
Okay. So they called Daniel praying. And it was not 3 days, it's 30 days. I truly apologize. People were not allowed to pray to their God for 30 days. But Daniel continued to pray, and he was caught. So they tried to repeal this order that was signed by Darius. So they couldn't find a way to go around this order.
But I mean, he is the king, so can he just...
Well, Mikey, it doesn't matter. It's like President Donald Trump. He's the president of the United States. He could do certain things. Again, he could do certain things, but for example, he could sign an executive order, and but then it has to go to the Senate and the House, and they could vote yes or no. So just because you're a king or president doesn't mean that you get to make decision and get again and get what you want.
But the king was the highest there.
Well, the king is the highest. Is again, when it comes to president, the president is the highest, the commander in chief. He's the one that runs the nation. But there's also Senate and Congress and all that. I mean, example, North Korea. North Korea is a communist. They go by whatever Kim Jong-un says, and people have no freedom. So that is basically communist style. But when it comes to capitalism, this Senate, the Congress, the president, the Supreme Court, and all them come together to make decisions. So it's, for example, President Trump wanted to build the border wall to stop people from coming in. He had tough times because the Democrats, and especially the states like California, the governor and mayor, they didn't want the wall. So they gave President Trump a hard time. This is my state. You're not going to build a wall. But then President Trump, signing executive order, and, it just depends. In another word, people's not coming together.
But aren't they supposed to do what he says, though, since he's, like, the president, since he's, like, the biggest?
They're supposed to, but once again, Mikey, this is the year 2020 where nobody goes by law anymore. It's really sad, but, he is commander-in-chief, and he's not getting the respect as commander-in-chief. But again, they could agree in certain things, and they could not agree in certain things. And that's the good thing. Again, that's a good thing about America. Now, just imagine having a Democrat as president. Everybody would go insane, worried, because a Democrat is all about socialists and changing everything. The good thing is, if a Democrat is president, and let's say the Supreme Court, the House and Congress or Senate, it's a good thing, because Republicans are going to try to not have a Democrat president passing crazy laws.
What about with Obama?
Huh?
What about with Obama?
Well, Obama, he was a president, but there was also Republicans and Democrats in the House and Congress.
But was he like
Senate and Congress?
Like, was he like really bad, or like not as they would be today?
Well, Obama was not like a evil monster man. He just made really bad decisions. He didn't have the pride of a true American patriot. He basically didn't like the Constitution, put it like that. But he's not again, we need to pray for him. He's not an evil, cruel man like Adolf, but he had changed the country around, and he said it back in 2007, change has come to America. So as you can see, America, the Supreme Court and all them, they pass the gay marriage without the vote of the people. It's certain things that Obama done that many people didn't agree with. All right, so go ahead and continue.
I forgot where it was. All right.
Yeah, on verse 13.
Okay. Then they said to the king, Daniel, who was one of the exiles from Judah, pays no attention to you, your majesty, or to the decree you put in writing. He still prays 3 times a day. When the king heard this, he was greatly distressed. He was determined to rescue Daniel and made every effort until sundown to save him. Then the men went as a grit to King Darius and said to him, Remember, your majesty, that according to the law of the Medes and Persians, no decree or edict of the king issued can be changed. So, who is the Medes and Persians?
The what?
The Medes and Persians.
Persians is like, again, well, these are like basically countries, but there were law of the Medes and Persians, no decree or edict that the king issues can be changed. So, meaning that there were laws being put by other nations that you cannot overrule the writings or the agreements that you made. So there were laws that were put by other nations too. So if a king signs something and someone break the law, then the king cannot overrule that because other nations came together and say, hey, there's no overruling. If someone break the law, that's it. Put him to death. This is why it's very important. Darius didn't know a lot about being king. This is why it's very important. If you want to run for president, you have to know the laws of this country. You have to. You have to know many things when it comes to either Congress or Senate. It's very important. You don't want to be that type of person from the street and then become president, and then once you're president, you don't know how to, deal with taxes or insurance plan. Again, it's very important to have that experience of becoming a president. President Trump, he's a businessman, but I believe President Trump was around many politicians. Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, he was around Mitt Romney. Again, he was involved in politics. President Trump was also a Democrat back then, but he switched party. Now he's a Republican. All right, we're almost done with chapter 6.
Oh yeah. So the king gave the order, and they brought Daniel and threw him into the lion's den. The king said to Daniel, "May your God, whom you serve continually, rescue you." A stone was brought and placed over the mouth of the den, and the king sealed it with his own signet ring and with the rings of his nobles, so that Daniel's situation might not be changed. Then the king returned to his palace and spent the night without eating and without any entertainment being brought to him, and he could not sleep.
Okay, so the king couldn't sleep. Again, this is a second king now. I mean, you had King Nebuchadnezzar that said I couldn't sleep because of his dream. Now you have Darius that couldn't sleep because his friend is going to be put to death, and he tried everything he can. He had experts come in. You got to find a way to overturn this order. I don't want Daniel to die. And Daniel said, well, a king that doesn't know anything of being a king should not be king, meaning that if you don't know anything of how to the laws and stuff like that of a nation, then you should not be president. You should not be president if you don't know the laws. You shouldn't even step foot in the stage because you don't know anything. It's like putting someone, there's 2 outs, 2 strike, and you have 3 people on base. You got to bring 1 person home in order to win the World Series baseball game. You can't bring someone outside that never played baseball and give him a bat and say, okay, we want you to hit a single, a double, a triple, or a home run. The person is going to be like, okay, so he's going to go up to the plate, and his helmet is backwards. He doesn't know how to use his helmet. So, again, he's going to start swinging crazy and don't know the game. So it's just like that. But the king couldn't sleep. He couldn't sleep because now Daniel was thrown into the den. And these lions haven't ate in weeks. They are hungry, and they are really hungry. So, but something happened inside that den, something really powerful.
At the first light of dawn, the king got up and hurried to the lion's den. When he came near the den, he called to Daniel in an anguished voice, "Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God, whom you serve continually, been able to rescue you from the lions?" Daniel answered, "May the king live forever. My God sent his angel, and he shut the mouths of the lions. They have not hurt me, because I was found innocent in his sight. Nor have I ever done any wrong before you, your majesty." The king was overjoyed and gave orders to lift Daniel out of the den. And when Daniel was lifted from the den, no wound was found on him, because he had trusted in his God. At the king's command, the men who had falsely accused Daniel were brought in and thrown into the lion's den, along with their wives and children. And before they reached the floor of the den, the lions overpowered them and crushed all their bones. Then King Darius wrote to all the nations and peoples of every language in all the earth, "May you prosper greatly. I issue a decree that in every part of my kingdom, people must fear and reverence the God of Daniel. For he is the living God, and he endures forever. His kingdom will not be destroyed. His dominion will never end. He rescued and he saved. He performed signs and wonders in the heavens and on the earth. Here, let's do Daniel from the power of the lions. So Daniel prospered during the reign of Darius and the reign of Cyrus the Persian.
Okay. Okay, so it says here.
Oh, we'll get more.
So it says here that the four men was thrown into the den, and along with their wives and children. Now they were thrown into the den. Now, for people that are saying, well, why would he throw his wives and even the children into the den? Well, God knows the future, and God knows what's ahead if he allowed them to go on and to live on. Again, guys, God is the one that made that choice. So he might have known that their children was going to be much worse than these men setting up God's people for them not to pray. So these children, again, their future might have been worse by putting more God's people into harm's way. So I was explaining, Mikey, that it says here that the men were thrown into the den of lions along with the wives and children. Now, I say the reason why the children was also thrown into the den is because God knows the future. God saw their future and saw that their future was going to be the same path as their dad's, meaning setting up people like Daniel or putting God's people to death. So God ended that bloodline of those men. Just ended it. Okay. This is really powerful right here, chapter 7. I'm going to read this one. Daniel's dream of 4 beasts. Daniel dream of 4 beasts. Give me a second here. All right. Daniel dreams of 4 beasts. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream, and vision passed through his mind as he was lying in bed. He wrote down the substance of his dream. Daniel said, in my vision at night, I looked, and there before me were the 4 winds of heaven churning up the great sea. 4 great beasts, each different from the others, came up out of the sea. The first was like a lion, and it had the wings of an eagle. I watched until his wings were torn off, and it was lifted from the ground, so that it could stood on 2 feet like a human being, and the mind of a human was given to it. Okay, give me a second here. You and Mommy read about King Nebuchadnezzar that was turned into a beast, right? And
I don't think we read that part. I mean, I know about the part, but I don't think we read it.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we haven't read it.
Give me a second here.
Actually, I'm pretty sure that's what we were about to read.
Okay. You guys read the writing on the wall, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So there was a story that King Nebuchadnezzar was turned into a beast, and he was out in the wilderness, walking like a beast and eating from the grass like lions and all that. He was basically punished for certain things going against God. So God turned him into a beast. And it was only for several years. I think it was only for 7 years. And after 7 years, God lifted him up to be human once again. Now, in this part right here, in Daniel chapter 7, verse 5, verse 4. The first was like a lion, and it had the wings of an eagle. I watched until its wings were torn off, and it was lifted from the ground, so that it stood on 2 feet like a human. So it stood on 2 feet like a human. So this is basically talking about King Nebuchadnezzar that was punished. He was turned into like a beast, and then after years of being in the wilderness, God made him stand on his 2 feet back like a human, and he was given a new heart. So this lion beast, I believe, represent King Nebuchadnezzar and also the kingdom Babylon. So the lion, I believe, is Babylon. So the first was like a lion, and it had the wings of an eagle. I watched until its wings were torn off, and it was lifted from the ground, so that it stood on 2 feet like a human being, and the mind of a human was given to it. So King Nebuchadnezzar,
Was he the lion?
I believe he was a lion. Yeah, so King Nebuchadnezzar, I believe he was a lion. He was punished for going against God. He was turned into a lion, and again, eating stuff like lions, just killing whatever lions kill and eat. So King Nebuchadnezzar was given a new heart. So he stood up once again as a human and was given a new heart. And that's when King Nebuchadnezzar came and told the people that I believe in God now. So, the lion is King Nebuchadnezzar, which let me show you one more time. The lion with the wings is King Nebuchadnezzar and also Babylon.
Is it a dragon or a dinosaur?
That's a dragon. Now we're going to go to the second beast. And there before me was a second beast, which looked like a bear. It raised up on one of its sides, and it had 3 ribs in its mouth between its teeth. It was told, "Get up and eat your fill of flesh." After that, I looked, and there before me was another beast, one that looked like a leopard, and on its back it had 4 wings, like those of a bird. This beast had 4 heads, and it was given authority to rule. After that, in my vision at night, I looked, and there before me was a 4th beast, terrifying and frightening and very powerful. It had large iron teeth. It crushed and devoured its victims and trampled underfoot whatever was left. It was different from all the former beasts, and it had 10 horns.
Do we not know if it was a dragon or dinosaur?
No, it's a dragon because it say dragon. Okay, so listen up, guys. Listen up. The dragon was a terrifying one. Now, the dragon represents a kingdom. Which kingdom was the most terrifying kingdom? And it has 10 horns. It has 10 horns. The dragon represents the Roman Empire. And the dragon has 10 horns. What's the 10 horns? The 10 horns is when Roman Empire fell and it was divided into 10 nations. It was divided into 10 nations. 10 horns, 10 nations. Now, let me show you another picture. Here's a good way to explain it. So, the lion represents King Nebuchadnezzar. The bear represents Persia, Medo-Persia. And the leopard represents Greece. The dragon with 10 horns represents the Roman Empire. So, if you look at this picture right here, give me a second. If you look at this picture right here, this is the dream of King Nebuchadnezzar. So you guys already know King Nebuchadnezzar had this dream, and Daniel interpreted this dream. So King Nebuchadnezzar dreamed of the latter days. So Now, from King Nebuchadnezzar's dream, Daniel had a dream. It was similar, but Daniel had the dream of beast, which represent leaders and represent nations. So you get it?
Yeah.
So the dragon, this is what Daniel said. Let me read it one more time. After that, no, give me a second. After that, I looked, and there before me was another beast, one that looked like a leopard, and on his back it had 4 wings, like those of a bird. Okay, this one here. The beast had 4 heads, and it was given authority to rule. So that's Greece. But this last one is much more powerful. After that, in my vision at night, I looked, and there before me was a 4th beast, terrifying and frightening and very powerful. So the 4th beast with the 10 horns represent the Roman Empire. And you guys know the Roman Empire, they were bad, they were brutal, they were huge, they were the biggest nation in the world. And this is why Daniel said after that in my vision at night I looked, and there before me was a 4th beast, terrifying and frightening and very powerful. It had large iron teeth. It crushed and devoured its victim. And again, you guys already know the Roman Empire, they were going out and taking down people and trample underfoot whatever was left. It was different from all the former beasts, and it had 10 horns. So you guys already know that Roman Empire fell. Roman Empire was too big that it had to be divided into 10 nations. That's why there's 10 horns on this dragon. The dragon represents the Roman Empire. The horns represent 10 kingdoms. That's when Roman Empire fell, and it was split into 10 kingdoms, which is called Europe right now. All right. I hope I didn't confuse the people on that one. I'll try to explain the best way I can, guys. So, while I was thinking about the horns, there before me was another horn, a little one, which came up among them, and 3 of the first horns were uprooted before it. So, remember I told you 10 kingdoms?
Oh, the 3 horns they're not the 3, there's 7 now?
Yeah. Right now, okay, the Roman Empire, give me a second. Let me see if I can put myself in this. The Roman Empire fell. It was too big that it had to be divided into 10 kingdoms. Right now, 7 kingdoms exist. 3 has fallen. You guys already know the 7th kingdom is German, France, and the UK and all that, which is Europe, the 7th kingdom. So it says here, while I was thinking about the horns, there before me was another horn, a little one, which came up among them, and 3 of the first horns were uprooted before it. This horn had eyes like the eyes of a human being, and a mouth that spoke boastfully. As I looked, thrones were set in place, and the ancient days took his seat. Huh?
And the Ancient of Days.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, you're right. Thrones were set in place, and the Ancient of Days took his seat. His clothing was a white as snow. The hair of his head was white like wool. His throne was flaming with fire, and his wheel were all ablaze. A river of fire was flowing, coming out from before him. Thousands upon thousands attended him. 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The court was seated, and the books were open. Now, this part right here, guys, again, I'm still studying when it comes to the book of Daniel. And this part right here, I'm going to add... Huh?
Like 10 million. 10,000 times 10,000 is like 10 million.
It's like 10 million. Okay, this part right here, I'm going to have to, again, when it comes to this, I do speak to my pastor. But when it comes to chapter 7, this is basically kingdom rising and kingdom falling and kingdom rising. Now, in the book of Revelation, the 4 beasts comes again. And there is a new beast that rises to power in the book of Revelation. Now, a lot of people might call it Arabic nation, but it's not. In the book of Revelation, a new beast rises to power. It's not Europe. That new beast that rises to power in the book of Revelation is the United States of America. Now, Daniel didn't have that dream. It was John from the book of Revelation. He saw the vision of a new beast rising to power, which is we're gonna get to that one, guys. Which I believe I'm gonna leave that one for next week. Okay, then I continued to watch because of the boastful words the horn was speaking. I kept looking until the beast was slain and its body destroyed and thrown into blazing fire. Now, I believe that they are speaking about Roman Empire. The other beasts had been stripped of their authority, but were allowed to live for a period of time. This is, I believe this part right here is basically talking about the beast, which is the one with the 10 horns, the destruction, the falling of the Roman Empire, and how it was divided. In my vision at night, I looked, and there before me was one like a son of man, coming with the clouds of heaven. He approached the Ancient of Days and was led into his presence. He was given authority, glory, and sovereign power. All nations and peoples of every language worshipped him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion that will not pass away, and his kingdom is one that will never be destroyed. Okay, so this is the powerful one. Now that Daniel already explained his dream, the interpretation is coming. I'm going to read this one, okay, Maggie? Okay, so the interpretation of the dream. I, Daniel, was troubled in spirit. So Daniel, having this dream, now he's like, what does this dream mean? What does this dream mean? I approached one of those standing there and asked him the meaning of all this dream. So he told me and gave me the interpretation of this dream. The 4 great beasts are 4 kings that will rise from the earth. But the holy people of the Most High will receive the kingdom and will possess it forever. Yes, forever and ever. Then I wanted to know the meaning of the 4 beasts, which was different from all the others and most terrifying, which is Rome. With its iron teeth and bronze claws, the beast that crushed and devoured its victim and trampled underfoot whatever was left. I also wanted to know about the 10 horns on his head and about the other horn that came up, before which 3 of them fell. So you guys already know that the green beast that you see there represent a nation, a empire, which is the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire fell, and it was divided into 10 kingdoms. That's why you have 10 horns. Right now in our time, 3 nations doesn't exist. 7 exist today in the year 2020, which is called Europe. The horn that looked more imposing than the others and that had eyes and a mouth that spoke boastfully. As I watched, this horn was waging war against the holy people and defeating them until the Ancient of Days came and pronounced judgment in favor of the holy people of the Most High. And a time came when they possessed the kingdom. He gave me this explanation. The 4th beast is a 4th kingdom that will appear on earth, Rome. It will be different from all the other kingdoms and will devour the whole earth. Horns, the 10 horns are 10 kingdoms who will come from this kingdom. There you go, guys. Rome was different than those other kingdoms. Babylon, Medo-Persia, and Greece. Rome, the Roman Empire, was so big and nations was too afraid to go after them. They were huge, they were powerful. But then came to a point that the Roman Empire fell. And the Roman Empire was divided. After them, another king will arise different from earlier ones. He will subdue 3 kings. He will speak against the Most High and oppress his holy people and try to change the set times and the laws. The holy people will be delivered into his hands for a time, times, and half a time. But the court will sit, and his power will be taken away and completely destroyed forever. Now, a lot of people are saying that this part here symbolizes, and I'm not saying this is true, I'm still doing my research on this part right here, but this is basically the Roman Catholic Church, that their power were taken away. But the court will sit and his power will be taken away and completely destroyed forever. So they are talking, again, from what I heard, and I'm still doing my research, but even the Catholic Church, the Roman Catholic Church, their power were taken away. Then the sovereignty, power, and greatness of all the kingdoms under heaven will be handed over to the holy people of the Most High. His kingdom will be an everlasting kingdom, and all rulers will worship and obey him. This is the end of the matter. I, Daniel, was deeply troubled by my thoughts, and my face turned pale, but I kept the matter to myself. So chapter 7, if you guys want to, again, this is very powerful. Chapter 7 speak about the rise and the falling of kingdoms, and also the power taken away from certain groups, leaders. And the Roman Catholic Church, their power was taken away too, the Pope. And I do believe there were some of them that were put to death during the Roman Empire that fell. So the book of Revelation continue on. Daniel, the book of Revelation continue on when it comes to the 4 beasts, because the 4 beasts, they come back, and that's in the book of Revelation. I know a lot of people want to hear that one, because the book of Revelation is basically, most of them are the end times. What's going to happen to America? What's going to happen to nations? Well, John, in the book of Revelation, he saw the 4 beasts, and there was a new beast that rised. All right. So, any question, Mikey? Little confused?
No.
All right. Okay. So, chapter 8, Daniel's vision of a ram and a goat. All right. In the 3rd year of King Belshazzar's reign, I, Daniel, had a vision after the one that had already appeared to me. In my vision, I saw myself in a, what's that name?
Citadel.
In the citadel of Susa in the province of Elam. In the vision, I was beside the Ulai canal. I looked up, and there before me was a ram with 2 horns standing beside the canal, and the horns were long. One of the horns was longer than the other, but grew up later. I watched the ram as it charged towards the west and the north and the south. No animal could stand against it, and none could rescue from its power. It did as it pleased and became great. Now, this is another one here, guys. And I believe this here, there's a possibility. I'm not saying it's true, but this here, there's a possibility that this is referring to the United States of America. Now, again, guys, I will keep it updated. I'm still doing the Bible study and all that, but this new one here, again, the goat. I watched the ram as it charged. Excuse me, not goat, ram. I watched the ram as it charged towards the west. The west, the western, the west and the north and the south. That no animal could stand against it, meaning none of these beasts could stand against it. And none could rescue from its power. It did as it pleased, and it became great. Now, America rose to power. It started back in, guys, again, the 1600s when you had Christopher Columbus and all these other people, Ponce de Leon. They discovered America. And America, again, George Washington became the first president of the United States. This country rose to power so quick that none of these other beasts couldn't even, there was not even close to this new kingdom, which is America. This kingdom, America, has become so powerful that no nation in the world, not Russia, China, or all these other nations, could go against it because it's so powerful. America has military bases all over the world, nuclear weapons pointed at Russia and China 24/7. America grew so quick in the last 200 plus years. So again, I do believe when it comes to the the 10 horns, which again, you guys already know only 7 exist, which is nation Europe. I believe that America came from Europe because people in the European, Christopher Columbus is from Italy, but they came from these 7 horns. They came from these 7 horns, the 7 nations, and they found a new land, which is the United States of America, and it grew. So it is a new animal rising to power. As I was thinking about this, suddenly a goat with a permanent horn between his eyes came from the west, crossing the whole earth without touching the ground. It came towards the 2-horned ram I had seen standing beside the canal and charged at it in great rage. I saw it attack the ram furiously, striking the ram and shattering its 2 horns. Now, guys, this part right here is basically future world events. The ram was powerless to stand against it. The goat knocked it to the ground and trampled on it, and none could rescue the ram from its power. The goat became very great, but at the height of its power, the large horn was broken off, and in its place 4 prominent horns grew up towards the 4 winds of the heaven. Of heaven, excuse me, guys.
I think that's talking about the beast.
Huh?
I think what I mean by the 4 winds, talking about the beast.
Yeah.
Because it's saying, because right here it says, because it calls the beast, I guess talking about the 4 winds, and then, like, somewhere back here in the book somewhere,
Yeah.
it was talking about how the beast were the winds.
Absolutely.
Or, like, the beast was winds.
Absolutely. So, all right. So my son, he's paying attention here. So, which verse was that again?
It was 8.
So it says here, the goat became very great, but at the height of its power, the large horn was
Yeah, the large horn was broken off, and in its place 4 prominent horns grew up toward the 4 winds of heaven.
Yeah. So it's speaking about the 4 beasts. So the goat became very great, but at the height of its power, the large horn was broken off, and its place 4 permanent horns grew up towards the 4 winds of the heaven. So basically a new kingdom rises to power. Again, these 4 winds of the kingdom that fell: Babylon, Persia, Greece, and the Roman Empire. and there is a new nation, a new kingdom that rises to power. And it's not Europe. Like I said, guys, America is that new kingdom, that new, again, the new nation that rises to power. And the book of Revelation speaks about it, again, when it rises to power. Okay, so out of one of them came another horn, which started small but grew in power to the south and to the east and towards the beautiful land. It grew until it reached the host of the heavens. And it threw some of the starry host down to the earth and trampled on them. It set itself up to be as great as a commander of the army of the Lord. It took away the daily sacrifice from the Lord, and his sanctuary was thrown down. Because of rebellion, the Lord's people and the daily sacrifice were given over to it. It prospered in everything it did, and truth was thrown to the ground. Then I heard a holy one speaking. Another holy one said to him, "How long will it take for the vision to be fulfilled?" The vision concerning the daily sacrifice, the rebellion that causes desolation, the surrender of the sanctuary, and the trampling underfoot of the Lord's people. He said to me, "It will take 2,300 evenings and mornings. Then the sanctuary will be reconsecrated. Reconsecrated. All right, guys. So when it comes to this one here, again, I will have to do some more studying. I will get back to Daniel 7 and give you guys some more understanding. But as we know right now, these beasts represent nations. And right now, nation exists, but it's the horns. These other nations don't exist. Again, the great beast, or the dragon, doesn't exist. The leopard doesn't exist. The bear doesn't exist. And the lion doesn't exist. Those are the kingdom that fell. The only one that exists is the horns, the 7 horns, the 10 horns, which 3 has broken off, which only 7 horns is left, which represent nations. It's called Europe. Europe exists in the year 2020. There is a new kingdom, and that's America, that rises to power. The book of Revelation speak about. So the interpretation of the vision. While I, Daniel, was watching the vision and trying to understand it, there before me stood one who looked like a man. And I heard a man's voice from the Ulai calling, "Gabriel, tell this man the meaning of the vision." Now again, Gabriel is the angel. As he came near the place where I was standing, I was terrified and fell prostrate. "Son of man," he said to me, "understand that the vision concerned the time of the end." Okay, so Gabriel is saying the last dream that you had, which again, I'm telling you guys that I need to do more research on this one and keep praying to God to show me knowledge and understanding. This new beast that rises to power is a future event. And
It's gonna be like something to do with the Antichrist or something.
well, it has a lot to do with, I believe, America. It has a lot to do with new laws being put in place. And I don't think yet it has anything to do with the rise of the Antichrist. It's just speaking about kingdoms.
Maybe it's talking about, just hinting that the Antichrist would be from America.
Well, a lot of people believe that the Antichrist might rise in America. Many believe that it's going to rise in Rome. But
Why Rome?
well, again, that's what many people believe. But there's a possibility, and I'm not saying this is 100% right, but it's a possibility that the Antichrist might rise in the United States of America. Again, the last kingdom. A lot of people are saying it's going to be Turkey. A lot of people are going to say it's going to be from Rome. But again, this is when we need to Continue to pray and ask God for knowledge and understanding. So, guys, chapter 8 is something that I need to do more research, because even Gabriel is telling Daniel this dream is about future world events. The vision that you had is about future world events. See, when it comes to the four beasts, that's something that has already been fulfilled, that has already happened. Nations, kingdom has fallen. So this is something that has been fulfilled. But when it comes to future world events, like chapter 8, that's when I need to keep reading the Bible, do some more studies. But I do believe chapter 8 does speak about the rise of a new nation, America, new laws, something that is much more different. America is way different than the Roman Empire. America is way different than Greece, than Medo-Persia, and much more different than Babylon. America.
No, you can go.
Right.
Oh, why did he call Daniel son of man?
Well, again, that's what they called him. Well, give me a second. I know it's somewhere here. Oh, that I had it here. That's what Gabriel called him. As he came near the place where I was standing, I was terrified and fell prostrate. Son of man, he said to me, understand that the vision concerns the time of the end. So Gabriel called him the son of man. Basically, he is the son of man. Because he's, again, follower of God, and God is really close to him, and God sees that Daniel is a true man that follows God. Daniel prayed 3 to 4 times a day. Daniel loves God. So Gabriel called him the son of man. He said to me, understand that the vision concerned the time of the end. While he was speaking to me, I was in a deep sleep with my face to the ground. Then he touched me and raised me to my feet. He said, I am going to tell you what will happen later in a time of wrath, because the vision concerns the appointed time of the end. The 2-horned ram that you saw represent the king of Media and Persia. The shaggy goat is the king of Greece. Okay. And the large horn between its eyes is the first king. The 4 horns that replaced the one that was broken off represent 4 kingdoms that will emerge from his nation but will not have the same power. So it's speaking about the previous kingdoms. In the latter part of their reign, when the rebels have become completely wicked, a fierce-looking king, a master of intrigue, will arise. He will become very strong, but not by his own power. He will cause outstanding
It's intrigue.
Okay. He will cause outstanding devastation and will succeed in whatever he does. He will destroy those who are mighty, the holy people. He will cause deceit to prosper. He will consider himself superior. When they feel secure, he will destroy many and take his stand against the prince of princes. Yet he will be destroyed, but not by human power. The vision of evenings and mornings that have been given to you is true, but seal up the vision, for it concerns the distant future. I, Daniel, was worn out. I lay exhausted for several days. Then I got up and went about the king's business. I was appalled by the vision. Appalled by the vision. It was beyond understanding. So, Daniel, seeing visions of again, he didn't saw nations falling. He just saw like beasts rising and beasts falling, and it just he was trouble of trying to understand what the dream means. And I do believe at the very end, Daniel realized that, and I believe that he did saw the future when rising new kingdoms. And I do believe that Daniel saw the United States of America. Now, this is the last chapter, guys. Well, I just read the last chapter. Next week is going to be chapter 9. But, give me a second here. I want to continue with this beast because it's very important for people to understand it. I think next week I might hold off on the book of Daniel, and I might read the book of Revelation. The 4 beasts rises back again in the book of Revelation. So I want to continue the story. I don't want to just end it. But give me a second. Actually, no, I'm gonna leave it for next week. So in the book of Revelation, like I said, it speak about the 4 beasts. They come back. Well, again, they don't count back the nations, but it talks about a new kingdom rising. All right. So, Mikey, what do you learn today? Here you go. Okay.
I mean, it was pretty much. I mean, some of the stuff I already knew, like about the 4 beasts and the statue, and about how. I mean, I already learned that 3 of the nations were gone.
Okay, but
and I remember that they called the beast. They also called it the wind, like the winds or the 4 winds, and that I think it was Greece took down Persia and Rome or Media.
Yeah, Greece took down
Persia and Media.
Yeah, so Greece took down Persia. Greece took down Persia, Medo-Persia, and from there Greece fell, and Roman Empire rose to power, and they were so huge, they were terrifying. Just like Daniel said, it was a terrifying one, and it had 10 horns. So you already know that 3 horns was plucked off, which means that those 3 horns were nations that no longer exist. They fell. 7 nations exist right now, which is Europe. But then there is a new beast that rises to power, and that is in the book of Revelation. Now, I just want to apologize for in the book of Daniel, chapter 8. I mentioned that this beast could symbolize America, but it's not America, guys. It was Greece taking down Medo-Persia.
Oh wait, I just noticed something from here.
Yeah.
It's actually the head was gold, the chest and the arm was silver, the belly and his thighs of brass, his legs of iron, his feet of iron, and the last one is actually the stone. It's not the. So the belly and like this part is the same. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
And then, cause I thought it was talking about the head was one, then the chest, then the belly, and then the thighs, and then the legs, and then the feet. But then the belly and this part is the same thing.
Yeah.
And
well,
the last one is the stone.
Yeah. You're talking about which is Greece, right? The belly and the rest of the part is.
Yeah, I thought Greece was just the belly and Rome was the thighs.
No. Rome is. Give me a second here. Rome is.
Rome's the legs.
Yeah, Rome is the leg, and then divided Roman Empire is
The feet.
yeah, the feet, and it's so powerful. Again, God is so powerful. Look at that. The feet has 10 toes, 10 nations. So it doesn't mean that we're gonna lose 3 toes, Mikey. We're not gonna lose 3 toes, Mikey. Okay. So Let me read some of the comments, and God bless everyone. I think next week I'm thinking about next week we're gonna read the book of Revelation. Next week we're gonna read the book of Revelation because the book of Revelation talks about these 4 beasts coming again. And someone said it's China. No, it's not China. It's not China. It's not China. America is the last kingdom. The dragon is China. No. The dragon is not China. The beast dragon with the 10 horns. The beast with the 10 horns. The beast was Roman Empire, and the 10 horns were again the Roman Empire being divided into 10 nations.
I was told the dragon was also Satan.
Well, yeah. Well, the dragon is Satan, and the beast is basically the Antichrist. But again, when it comes to divisions, the dragon is not Satan. The dragon symbolizes the Roman Empire, and the 10 horns on top of the dragon is the Roman being divided into 10 kingdoms. All right. Why couldn't the Italian be the bear? So, Love Pug said, why couldn't the Italians be the bear? Again, the bear was well, again, that's the way God saw the future. So, give me a second. How many countries is in Europe? No. All these are basically almost the same. They go Greece right there, but Greece doesn't even have a flag. Wow. Okay. All right, guys. So let me just read some of your comments, and God bless everyone. Iron and clay do not mix. The feet of the statue in Daniel. All right, guys. So I'm gonna end this. Live stream, but we're getting closer. You know, many people want to know who is the mystery of Babylon. We're getting closer to that. So next week, we're going to start in the book of Revelation. We're going to talk about these 4 beasts, because the book of Revelation, the 4 beasts come back. And this time, it's not Daniel having that vision. It's John. John had the vision of the 4 beasts. He's like, oh, God, really? You got to give me the vision of the 4 beasts. I heard Daniel saw the 4 beasts, and, you know, he was exhausted. He was in trouble. So now John, in the book of Revelation, he sees the 4 beasts. And there's a new beast that rises to power. All right, guys. So thank you so much for watching. God bless you all. Give your life to Jesus Christ and get baptized. We are living in tough times. Till next time later. Peace.